In Drain Punch, we had people who we had 10 spots apart. So this is
Yep.
going to be very interesting,
Oh,
and
yeah.
there's going to
Like
be a
literally,
lot of things on here.
literally, no
Actually,
one was
no,
anywhere
14.
near each other.
Like,
There are teams that we have 10 plus
14
spots apart.
Yeah, it's
Well, yeah, but like at least 10. There are multiple teams that are 10 or more spots apart, especially between me and Trap's rankings. So it
Yeah,
should be an interesting
it's
discussion.
insane.
this is where something for my critique of teams, right? Because originally it's just the teams, right? Another thing I really took into consideration, right? Now that we're getting into like the higher levels, is build potential.
Yep.
And how easy it is to counter those builds themselves. You know what I mean? Like if let's say you put like 6 bonds, or or rather, what I mean is more
Show
so,
us the rankings already.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I'm not that.
We're about to.
That, unfortunately.
I'm not gonna
Okay,
lie.
let's.
For this one, I am probably not the best person to ask because I was doing this at 3 a.m. in the morning. I still stand by my decisions, but them two are gonna be the ones talking the most, realistically.
Also, another thing to consider is I actually rank these teams like out of 10, they're all like 7 and above for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So like even a 16-point team is still like
It's still
very
really
capable.
good. I mean,
Yeah.
like, it's better than like the bottom 10 in B3 or D3. So
I think there's one team that I would not agree with that on. There's only 2 teams on.
I mean,
this,
there may
on
be
this entire division
one team I
that
agree with it
dislike.
on, which is the one I ranked the lowest, which we're about to get to. So yeah,
There's
let's just
only 2 teams that I actively dislike in this division, so let's get started.
let's get started.
Yeah.
So at 16th place we have Jazzy.
Yeah, I ranked them at 13th and this at 15th and Snowman at 16th.
Yeah, so needless to say, we are not a big
We're not fans.
fan of this team. So I mentioned this a lot before, and unfortunately it pops back up here. Speed drops. 130 to 100. 130 to 100 is rough. And then he's also committed one of, in my opinion, the cardinal sins of Draft League, which is not drafting a ground type.
Oh yeah.
Because right now, every electric in the game eats this team alive.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not Jolteon because like Hydra is Shadow Ball, but all Hydras and Delmise can take electric hits, but they'll get worn down. Yes, Hydra has recovery, but most electrics have like Dazzling Gleam or fighting coverage, stuff like that. Electrics will eat this team for breakfast.
Yep.
And he will get destroyed. But Volt Switch just goes all over this team. And there's nothing he can do about it.
What the fuck? I saw the chat, Chungus. No, but yeah, he said it perfectly himself. The speed gap and just no ground type. That is just like, that is really bad, especially the electric.
You
types.
always get a ground type.
Yeah, no grounded poison is another thing that I'm gonna ding this on. Because Mew gets poisoned, it doesn't even synchronize the poison there. Unaware Clef, if your opponent sets up toxic spikes, is just useless, pretty much. And Mega Hera can't sub well if it has T-Spikes. So a lot of the teams are using T-Spikes, but the parts that aren't really hate them. Albeit he has 5 removers. He has like 6 removers, so it's not the end of the world. But I would prefer to see a grounded poison on this team.
Zapdos eats this for every meal.
That's a fair. I mean,
That's a
yeah,
fair point.
Every like 6-point or higher electric eats this. Even like Mega Manectric like tears this up.
It's just.
And that's saying something. This is a Mega Manectric.
Yeah, that Mega Manectric is just like. Joe is like, if I make higher than bottom 3, I'll be shocked.
There are a couple positives about this team though. It does cover its utility pretty well. It has good rocker, it has good removers, so Mew is enabled to be offensive, which is really appreciated. And it has good momentum to get Heracross back into the game and punch holes, but it just has some really big problems.
It has too many flaws for me. All right.
Yeah, it just doesn't round out well.
For 15th, we have Lodza Dede.
I am really sorry, Lodza. We love you, but
we love you,
Lodza. This draft is not your finest work. And Trap had him at 12, Snowman at 13. I had him down at 14. So we all agree it's pretty low on.
It's pretty bad. Oh my god, it's not a Zygarde team.
Yeah. At least it has good speed.
I will give it that. Speed here is not a problem.
his defense is highly suspect. That's one of the main things that got me. Cause it's like if you're not gonna like fully go in on the offense or like a bulky offense, you're trying to go for a more balanced route. Like this defense isn't it. Like it's just a bunch of mons that like don't live to like 2 hits, and it's like, oh, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of how I look at this team as. It could be lackluster. However, Lotsa is one of the favorites to win this thing. So again, player skill did not take into account in my PRs. Yeah. I mean, there is a lot of good here. I mean, like Hazard games like is really good. Like for HO builds, like he has webs and screeds. And I fucking hate Araquanid. That's the worst mon. I hate it, but
I was gonna draft Araquanid at first.
I personally hate Araquanid, but it's. I mean, I could definitely see like setting up webs. Zygarde Jirachi is always good too as well.
Yeah.
Definitely. You have a shitload of spikes. I'll give you that.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, and you have good low tier mons. It's just that like Actually, I'll let you guys go on. So I talked enough already.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Realistically,
what Michael said.
Realistically, compared to the rest of the draft, I mean, like it was really hard to put this one above when the rest of the draft is a thing.
Yeah, Michael made a very good point in chat. This team does not have good ways to break grasses for Zygarde. It really doesn't. Its fire type is a Colossal, its ice type is a Piloswine, its bug type is an Araquanid, like, its flying type is a Thundurus, and it doesn't have a poison. Like, everything that could get your way muscle its way through grass types just isn't there, and Zygarde is really going to struggle.
Yeah.
We saw in the Eredivisie a very well-built Zygarde team. Unfortunately, this is a very poorly built one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alright. So, for number 14, we have Danger, It's Dark.
Ooh, this is one of the first ones.
We had some interesting...
Thank you,
Trap had him all the way up at 8th. Snowman had him at 15th, but I had him at 16th. And I'll be honest, I think this is one of the worst drafts in the league. But
I honestly don't think it's one... I don't think it's the worst draft, but it's one of them.
It's not the worst. It's not the worst. I'm sorry to Gear if you're watching, but you have the worst draft in all 3 divisions, and it's not close. I'm sorry, man.
Freaking Gear is just... It's so bad.
And yeah, Dick, like we said, any team in D2 is, like, for me, like, a 7 or a 6, like, the bottom ones. So, like, they can
This and Jazzy are the only teams I really, really dislike in this division.
Yeah.
I Trap, why don't you go?
I'm gonna wait till you guys, like, poop on it first.
Okay, I'll start. Speed drop, 143 to 110. Have fun. Also 108 to 88. Again, not great. No fairy type. Fighting types eat this team alive. They just punch everything, and they knock the Latios, and goodbye. And then next point, where is it? No grounded poison. Hippo and Zera. Have fun getting poisoned. No grass, which is pretty much necessary on sand because you need a good water switch, you need a good ground switch, and yes, Latios can do that, but it doesn't want to always be your switching to stuff. No cleric. If your Drill or Zera or Dracovish get burned or your Mega Arrow, then you're kind of screwed. And then, and the team is almost entirely physical. That's another big one. It's a really big one. And then if my computer will load, I can... the last one is that Hippo just does not pair well with Drill at all. It just really doesn't. It just saps all your momentum.
Yeah, T-Tar Gigalith.
Sorry to rip through this team like that, but I just have a lot of really big problems with this team.
I had basically the same exact problem. Speed.
Oh, also... Sorry, go ahead.
Speed. It was the main reason why I was like, speed is just... It would need to be important for this team, and yet there's, like, so little speedy options.
Yeah. Also, webs... Also, webs feel super unnecessary. Like, Dracovish is only abuser of webs. But then you have Zeros, Mega Arrow. You have all this fast stuff, and even Drill and Sand doesn't need it. Oh, yeah, I don't know who S2 Grin is. I think that's Loadsum. Makes a very good point about Latias getting chipped by Sand really sucking.
Yep.
Oh, that's S2G. That's just Rin.
Oh, that's Rin? Okay. I swear to God, Rin. Okay, yeah. I get it. The one saving grace for this team is its top 3 plus Arrow plus Conk is really hard to stop.
Yeah.
If he can get his offense in, get damage off, get it going early in the game, he can steamroll. But if any part of that fails, he is going to get smashed.
I could talk good about it now. It's like
Sure.
I
We've been talking
Why
bad.
you moved it a
Let's-
lot higher.
I
Why do
specifically
you
put
think this is good?
in middle of the pack is because I don't. This is a team that's entirely dependent on like player ability. I mean, that's how hyper offense teams are, and there's definitely a lot of things you could fix about it. Otherwise, I would have put it higher. But this hyper offense team played right. I mean, even though you're only gonna run like garbage, like fucking like healing wish, tailwind, Larias, which I mean that is very enabling. You can really, really. Like, I could see this team like if played even decently well, like the other person doesn't like have ways to stop your offense or like actually play in a way to stop hyper offense, it could actually like obliterate its way through the playoffs. And that's why I couldn't rate it like any lower. Because yes, defensively, it's not a balanced team. I mean, you could just look at it. But from a hyper offense,
Who needs
from an
balance?
offense
This team has a high ceiling. It has a very, very, very low floor.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like it's
Like
very
if he
easy.
if he pulls it off, it will go crazy. But I don't know if he can pull it off with a team with this many holes.
And also hyper offense is just like it's usually like not the ideal like thing you'd want. I mean, he wasn't like the later half of the draft, I think.
Yeah.
But like
I mean, the thing for me is like if you're going hyper offense sand, why are you picking Hippo?
yeah, that's the thing. That's why
Tyranitar and Gigalith do the job so much better on HO sand. Hippo just saps all your momentum and just kind of sits there and does nothing. Like, I tried using Hippo Sand, it did not go well. It's just not a good sand setter for this.
The only reason way I could see it being useful is if it's like some type of like switching, like it just switches in and out at the same.
Yeah, it's an okay pivot.
But that's about it. That's why I couldn't.
You just don't want to keep Hippo. You just don't want to keep Hippo in and have it sitting there. You want to keep making offensive moves with this team.
Another thing, which I know I didn't try to account for like player skill in the division, right? But like if this was in the D1, right? If this was in D1, even if I didn't see the other 15 drafts, I would just slightly put it lower just because it's gonna be harder to pull it off. As if, you know what I mean? But that's just a little nitpick. But yeah, that's one of the first of many disagreements we have. But either way,
okay, let's move on to number 13.
Number 13 is Jean Paul.
Jean Paul, but
John Paul.
I think his friend. Alright.
Yes, this is
yes, Infernate. This is post Grace, and I don't think anyone's put any transactions that are effective week 2 anyway. So, but yes, it is post Grace. So Jean Paul's team.
Yeah.
I
was gonna say the rankings.
Sure,
I ranked Jean Paul the highest at 9, with Snowman at 11th, and Tennis at 12. So relatively close.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I helped draft this, and even then, I don't really like it that much. But also, I really am a stickler on how to draft around Zamazenta, and I don't think we did a great job on that.
I mean, it has Zamazenta though.
Congrats, you have the worst 18-point mom.
Yeah, that is a thing. It has.
But why don't you guys go into what you liked about it?
Good defense. That's really it.
Yeah, defensively, this team's good.
Yeah, his offense consists of Zama, which I mean, it's gonna have its matchups which didn't do well. Dragonite is it's a decent offensive mom, but you wanted it to have like diversity in it, in like how you use it. Azoth is fantastic, but Cryo is passive as hell, so Valley like it needs a Swords Dance for it to actually be like a competent mon. And Steel
is Chungus does bring up Belly Drum Slurp Up, which is good, but like Belly Drum Slurp Up isn't that hard to stop. So and having like if it comes every week, it becomes predictable. It's easy to deal with. Mm-hmm. I will say, my biggest gripe with this team is no breakers. Nothing on this team breaks. Everything just hits okay damage, but nothing great. And the other thing that I really would have liked to us to get is a T-Spike setter not named Pineco, because it's a Pineco.
Yeah.
But I do think there's some positives to this team. I really do.
Yeah, good defense.
Good defense. He has lots of hazards to wear stuff down for Zama, which is really nice. He has Wish with a Slurp, which Zombie isn't the best Wish passer, but like having Wish with Zama is pretty important. So I think built around Zama, it's well, but I think the problem is if Zama is not working effectively, the rest of the team will fall apart.
Yep.
No, yeah, definitely.
Ray and I do
that's
not
what I
care
was
if in
saying.
one instance your Pineco beat a Zygarde.
Pineco is all the hazards. Oh my god.
Pineco's the
It does not
best
get
Mon in the
webs,
draft,
just
guys.
saying.
We should have put Pineco at 18 points.
He has decent removal. I mean, that's another thing that can be annoying. It forces his team to run boots. Especially
Yeah,
with,
like
how boost heavy his team is.
I don't think this team is particularly bad. Like I think it's fine. Like this is like the first one that I'll just disclose it now. My rankings 6 through 12, I all have them pretty much interchangeable. This is my 12. So like I don't think it's a bad team. I think it's just the worst of the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Alright, so at
next team, yeah.
12th, here we go. Hit 12th, I was about to accidentally undo D1. That's for the end. Is Kangaroo Jolty.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, who wants to start on this one? Oh wait, rankings, right? Jolty, so Trav had him at 10, Snowman had him at 12, and I had him at 9. So we all agree he's pretty average.
Well, the strengths. I mean, I'll start this one off to make it easier. The strengths of his team. I mean, Mega Gallade Spectrier is proven. It is a fantastic core. Sylveon, Milotic, Cobalt, great support mons. He has a ground type that pairs very well with his Cobalt. I mean, well, obviously, Cobalt Milotic, which is Gligar, very, very good utility mon. Zoroark is incredibly nasty because figuring out how to switch in a Gallade or Spectrier is that's like actually using like Zoroark in a proper way, because it's like one of the, you know what I mean, you're gonna get screwed. Haxorus at the end, which I mean, that definitely helps his priority, but also it just adds to the breaking ability of it. And Electros actually serves a very solid function, which again being a good ground immune with Garbodor, even Garbodor having spikes. So those are a lot of the strengths
Chungus.
that I.
Chungus, I'm just gonna say, not fan of a Cobalt here. And then he's like, having said that, I'll be 6-0'd by it.
I agree. I agree with Jake having this team would really like the more defensive dark type when you have Gallade Spectrier.
Or a
this
normal.
team or like, normal, like ghosts run through this.
I feel like Alolan Persian would have been really nice for this team.
Alolan Persian still kind of takes a ton from strong Shadow Balls though.
Yeah.
And secondary stabs. I feel like something like a Mandibuzz, like a round 3 Mandibuzz could be nice, or like a Alolan Muck. Alolan Muck
for sure.
Really good on this team.
I forgot Alolan Muck existed during the entire draft, honestly.
Honestly, I disagree with Trap. I don't like Cobalion here at all. I feel like
Fair enough.
I just don't think it fits that well. It's
that's
fine.
The main thing about his team, I'd say.
I agree with what Chungus basically said in chat. What I was about to say, having a defensive steel I can take on Psychics and Fairies. Exactly.
Basically, yeah.
That's
Cobalion being neutral skills really hurts. He does not. He has no Psychic switch-ins. Zoroark is not a Psychic switch-in. Yeah, Jake makes a good point about you just destroying this.
Ghosts are super threatening.
Ghosts are a big problem. Psychics are a problem. Honestly, Fairies are a problem because it's only switching his Garbodor.
Yeah.
Flying is a problem. His only flying switching is the Electros. Just Cobalt. I really think Cobalion needs to be dropped for a different steel that can patch these holes. This is why, in my opinion, if your Cobalion never works as a solo steel, it needs a second steel type on the draft with it.
Yeah,
because it will have these holes.
Bulky team. Yeah, you need a good bulk.
Yep.
You need good bulk round. Since Jake mentioned it, Jake, Aegislash is undrafted.
That is something to consider for Guilty.
Yep. Alright.
For the card.
Aegislash destroys this team, but it is undrafted, so he is lucky in that case.
Yeah.
And now lucky. And now the person who plays him next week is going to pick it up just to beat him. I can tell you.
Okay.
With
11th, we have
Jake.
Woex. Probably butchered that name.
No, I think you said it right. Okay, so Woex is one of the teams I think we had a decent discrepancy on.
Yeah, not as big as the other ones, but I ranked Woex at 11th, Snowman at 14th, and it's all the way up at 5th.
Yeah, so why don't you guys start with what you think are the flaws of this team, and then I will go into what I like about it.
Well, for starters, is defense. While it does support his offense well. The thing is, like, his defense is not gonna be able to stand up to other offenses, and that's fine because he's going for like a more offensive team. But the thing is, like, good offensive teams have pretty decent matchups versus this. Like, this team does not stand up to like HO matchups that well at all.
Yep.
I mean, Fake Out and Dragapult is pretty good, but what I mean by HO, I'm talking about like things behind screens, things in like with like speed alterations, like Weather, Tailwind, and Trick Room. Albeit this isn't D3, so you're not gonna see a lot of that. But in this team, it's very like one of the reasons why I don't like this team is because it's very easy to see what am I gonna do to, like, if I'm in the builder, right? It's very easy for someone to figure out how to beat this team, like, without, and there's not much counterplay. Maybe you might be like that's lack of bulk, but it's just that outside of that, it's like I can't see him dealing well with HO builds.
Yep.
Another thing is I mean, there's a lot of good. I mean, I did rank it at what's it called again? At 11, so I definitely think it's like in the mid tier.
Yeah, it's definitely mid.
Dragapult. Yeah, Dragapult.
So,
is just very good.
So I'm a big fan of this team. I guess I'll go into why. First thing, the big nick I have on this team is if you're drafting Dragapult, you need Toxic Spikes. Just Toxic Spikes because then Hex kills everything. Not drafting them is just a choke, in my opinion. It's just so good pairing with it. But offensively, I love this team. He has good breakers, he has good cleaners, he has tons of momentum. It will keep him in, if he gets in the driver's seat early, he will stay in the driver's seat and cruise to victory. If he can do
versus
that.
bulky offense. This team beats most bulky offense drafts. I will say that. It has a very good matchup spread versus BO and like offensive balance builds.
Yeah. This team just can break pretty much every Dragapult set I can think of with another offensive team member. I mean, every Dragapult check I can think of.
Yeah.
For
it
sure.
just
Granted,
it really
no
it offensively just it can remove Dragapult checks very easily, which is something I really appreciate a Dragapult team.
Yeah, my biggest thing with this team was just like polarizing builds like HO and like semi-stall and stall. He has a very hard time versus, but those balanced bulky offense teams are the ones that you most are gonna see. He has a pretty decent to good matchup spread, which is why I
would agree.
Put him any lower.
His team matches up amazingly versus the mid-range teams for sure.
Yeah, that too.
Okay, on to number 10.
On to number 10, which is Flap.
Okay, rankings for Flap. Trap had him up at 5, Snowman at 9, and I had him down at 10.
So another discrepancy, though the gap isn't that as big as the other ones, but yeah, well, I could start off. He has good speed tiers. Has pretty solid speed tiers. That's one thing to just get off the bat. I mean, he has decent hazards. I mean, Lando I forces a lot of switch-ins, so I mean, like, actually, what I mean, like, with Diancie, I mean, Diancie's okay. Look, is a good rocker, but how many times are you gonna bring that? Because I couldn't put any higher. Bulletin is a fucking amazing low tier, which I mean, I feel like I was definitely thinking about earlier in the draft, and Wallaby is a fantastic 2-pointer, which is, I know that's not the main point of the draft, but it's good. He supported
it's really
Lando
good value, yeah.
Yeah, he supported Lando I very well. Having Starmie as removal is really good on this team, even though his team isn't that weak outside of like Pedro. Just having that speed and flip turn is always gonna be very nice. Metal Lando I for Renate is just nasty. And having Pedro to like check like revenge kill a lot of things is also nasty. P2 is actually a fantastic piece for his team because, well, I mean, between teleport and like being a fantastic switch in everything pretty much except fighting types. Yeah, it's not a perfect team, but I like it a lot. Very strong team. Yep. And now you guys are going to why it's bad.
I agree, I like it a lot. I don't think it's that bad. I don't think there's many problems. Big thing with me is Melmetal wants wish support really badly. Like, desperately, because it gets worn down, and also it helmet. So, like, if you have wish support, you can heal off the helmet damage it's taking, it can keep breaking. So that's kind of a big thing for me. I think it's just, that's a very important part of Melmo. And also, his speed tiers are fine, but base 100s can actually run boosting natures versus this, because Rotom Mo hits 298. Adamant Mew or whatever hits 299.
Mm-hmm.
So any base 100s can do that, and that can be kind of problematic versus some of them.
Yep.
Other than that, there's really not too many nicks I have on it. Great momentum, keeps the pressure, gets in frets. Everything on this roster can come to any game. Supports B-Drill pretty well, with great ways to break steals and stuff. Like, I think the team is solid.
For sure. We're going on the next one, I guess.
Let's get on to our number 9 pick, which is Burning.
So this is our first huge discrepancy.
Yeah.
So for Burning, Trap has him down at 15.
Yeah.
Snowman has at 6, and I had him as my third place. My bronze team was Burning. So
Yeah.
Trap, why don't we start out with why you dislike this?
Let me actually get the team up. The doc tagging for me. Give me a bit.
Sure.
Here it is. Okay. Why do I put this team at 15? The speed's horrible. I mean, that's for starters. His speed tier, his speed is for an offense team, right? Like a team that's, I mean, they pouring on Mandibus and Metagross. He has bulk. I'm not gonna get it twisted, right? But a lot of his team, while it could go on balance builds, I could definitely see this being more of like a BO build, right? Like offensive balance build. It fails, like, I think it fails spectacularly at it because no, I don't think Vikable is like a good like war. Like, it's a good substitute for not having a 110, a 120, 120 and above speed mon. And Tauros is, if you're forced to run Tauros every single week, that is a really bad bring. I mean, Tauros is a great low tier. Don't get it twisted. That's one thing. Whimsicott, like, I mean, yeah, sure, it's a 116 speed tier mon, but I mean, and it's alright. But if that's your only option on an offensive team, that is really, really bad. I don't see how this team deals with offensive builds at all. Like once, like if they just predict Mandibuzz or a Vape on a Switch, it's like, geez. Like this team is gonna have to be played very well for it to succeed. And unlike Danger's team, which is why like another discrepancy is Danger at least has like the breaking ability. So even if he gets like a switch wrong, or like if you stay in wrong, he does like 80% or something. This doesn't.
I mean, there's a Mega champion at Kiram here. And the Nidoking. This draft has plenty of breaking ability.
No, what I mean though is like his defense, and like again, like he doesn't have enough speed to warrant. You know what I mean? Like yes, he could break, but Nidoking and Mega Medicham like are not gonna want to take more than 2 hits for most matchups.
That's fair.
And like this team's gonna get ran through. Okay, that's my main thing.
I think it does have some trouble with offense, yeah, and it could use a bit more speed. I think my biggest gripe on this was it lacks cleaners. That's the big thing. That really hurts this team.
You can fix this team very easily. I will say this.
Yeah.
It will skyrocket. Am I right?
I think the team is built decently around the breakers. Like he has a lot of momentum to get them in and punch holes. It's just the problem is going to be getting back out.
Yeah.
But I mean, this team will run through defense. Like defensive teams will crumble to this.
Well, yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much my team.
And also, my big thing about why I'm not too worried about the speed is he has, in my opinion, the best web setter in the game in Vikavolt, which is nice. And he has a ton of priority.
Yeah, fake
Bullet Punch and Fake Out on Mega Man, Sucker, Nidoking, E-Speed Arcanine, Bullet Punch Metagross. Like, he has so much priority that his lack of speed isn't that problematic. Yes, I would prefer him to have another Fastmon that has actual offensive presence. But, like, between webs and his, like, 5 priority users, I think he's got enough to really effectively finish out games. It's not, obviously a cleaner will be better, but, like, I don't think it is the worst.
This team definitely has, I did rank it a little lower than honestly I think I should have. Maybe should have a couple spots higher for me personally. However, this team, if played right, can, like Enzo says, because it has the breaking ability, right? It can definitely make playoffs. Like I say, I still rank this team like a 7 out of 10, like 6.5, 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Like just a flat 7.
Realistically, like, all my middle picks are, like, interchangeable, and this one could have went a little bit higher, or also could have went a little bit lower, in my opinion.
Sure. Still solid team. Even if it's for me 15th, solid team.
Yeah.
Number 8 is Nashoba.
Another
And
big one.
here is our biggest discrepancy of the division. So Trap has him at 14th, Snowman 8th, and personally, I think this is the best team in the division.
Fair enough. You guys go first because I don't want to like bash another team.
I guess I'll start. The only flaw I really saw was it has a bit of a speed drop from 110 to 91, but I think Joey is pretty other than that, it's a very it has tons of momentum to get Mega Dancy and Landorus. It really good hazards, really good removal, good braking power on both sides, good queening options, lots of great defensive pivots. I mean, it's a bulky offense team, but it just does that super well. Yeah. It really does. I just don't see how. I don't know. It's hard to explain it, but I really, really like this team. I think it synergizes incredibly well with each other, the Hermans. It just defensively, offensively, it flows. It covers its bases. I just don't see many flaws.
I'm gonna let Snowman go so we could descend. I don't want to just go from really good to what I really don't like.
Awful. I didn't find too many flaws with this team, honestly. Again, all my middle picks from 4 to 12 are all interchangeable, and I ranked this guy 5, right? Oh no, 8th. Yeah, so 8th. I mean, he could have easily been further up for me. I mean, all these people, I didn't find too many problems with it, in my opinion.
Again, oh my bad, I'm interrupting you. Keep going.
It's fine. I mean, all I have to say is, I don't see any 4x weaknesses that are not, covered pretty well, which is, the biggest thing for me. I don't like that they're already 0 and 1, but that's completely fine.
I mean, that should not be.
I didn't base it off of that. I just noticed that. I didn't know that they had their battle. I think defensively, this team will do pretty well. And it can definitely stall out anyone if they can't just straight up beat it.
Well, I mean, I could go into my negatives.
Yeah.
Let's hear it, Trap.
Go in, Trap.
I did admittedly put I did put 7 out of 10 for this team. Just keep that in mind. The show, but if you're listening, I do think you drafted a solid team or a decent team. Wow, there's a lot of things. This really does lose in a lot versus a lot. A good example is I hate using matchup spread, but I mean the last team we just talked about does run through this team in a nutshell. You have Bullet Punch, right? Bullet Punch and a good water type with Ice Beam. It's yeesh, it's gonna be a lot. This team's gonna have a lot of trouble. Admittedly, I do think I should have put this team a little higher. I still think I don't personally like this team as much as other teams. What I do like about it, I mean, obviously. Slowking Tang, Lando is nasty. Mega Diancie is nasty. Como is pretty fucking solid. I really hate Swallow as your fastest mon. Not because Swallow's a bad mon. It's just I personally really don't like it, and I think it synergizes very poorly with Diancie and Lando. That's just my personal opinion. Mainly because
I would agree. Swallow isn't the best fit here. I would agree with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that. Magnezone fits. Outside of you want to big bulky waters. I mean, if there's one thing that you do have, it's you have the second best breaker in the team in the draft board, which is Mega Diancie, or at least the best Mega in breaking. That's compared to its at what its level is at. But
yeah.
Another thing is let's see I wouldn't say that what's it called again. This is that big of an issue because you do have Magic Bounce, which is a deterrent. The removal is not ideal. I mean, Komala is legit, as Anna's put in the chat. Defog, Lando, and Swallow. I mean, then again, you're not gonna want to be running.
Defog Slow is not a set. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's not a set. This team's ground switchings, I mean, are actually pretty good. But so just take that back. Probably not making the best case, but frankly, I just don't like this team that much. I don't know what it is outside of it just having a bad matchup versus offense. Versus defense, I mean, you have Mega Diancie, you can't go wrong with that. But
I do want to shout out Shelmet here because Shelmet is amazing. It is,
Yeah.
in my opinion, the best one-pointer in the format. So good on you for getting Shelmet.
so yeah, still solid team, dude. Like it's 7. It's just for me, it's just not as good as the other ones. But I mean,
That's fair.
prove me wrong, man. I mean, you definitely have the tools to do so.
Definitely have the tools
Yep.
to do very, very well.
And then 7th, we have another person who thought he was going to be last.
Yeah. 7th, we all unanimously said was 7th place. It is Joe. Go ahead and get his
Bread
picture.
Joe, big man. Okay, I guess Trap, why don't you start on Joe?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Well, Joe. I mean, you're upper middle. I gave you a 7.5 out of 10. So, again, solid team. It's still in the mid. It's still in the middle pack. I wouldn't just say mid. The strengths of this team. I mean, Beanie's audio scissor is really, really good. That's bulky. That gives you a lot of offensive and defensive options. This Sloping Galar makes this team go from it could be bulky to wow, this team is pretty annoying to break. And Saru too. That's another one I just forgot to include.
And Mudsdale. And Mudsdale too.
Mudsdale. Talent Fame could also. I mean, that's not really what you want to run it for, but there's that as
I
an
love
option.
I love defensive T-Flame. It's a defensive T-Flame is just like fast Moltres.
Yes, Spadef, Willow, Roos, that bulk up. That's a pretty decent set. Pretty good bulk. Supported well. You have pretty solid removal. You have really solid momentum. I mean, Jolteon. I mean, I don't know how you feel.
No, we haven't,
Jolteon's
Infernape.
good for the price.
They would say it here.
Jolteon's good for the price. What's it called again? You have decent braking. It could be better. I mean, I don't want to go too into the problems, but overall, pretty solid. Pretty solid.
Very solid.
Now,
There's another. Sorry.
my bad.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I wasn't gonna let you say the cons, or you and Snowman say I already said.
Well, I didn't really have that many cons of this team. Like
Yeah, I just thought it was
100s can run boosting natures, which is again annoying because of your speed tiers. But I really like this team. I think it synergizes super well. Round 1 Tapu Fini is a little bit suspect, but getting round 2 Latios, so it works out. I think in my notes the way I put it is this team just flows really well together. It's cohesive. You can see how it would go in the game. Like you can see the pivots around, you can see the breaker in Latios, which they can get in super easily. And then Latios, Finny, Scissors, Rude is a really nasty core, both offensively and defensively. All 4 of those mons can run offense and defense at the same time. Like Jake, you're right, Tapu Fini is round 1, but I think he was like, let me look at what pick he was, if my computer will load.
He was like pick 7.
Pick 7 Tapu Fini is yeah. Oh, 7th overall pick Tapu Fini, I don't know if I agree with that. And on topic, someone said the removal in chat. I disagree. The removal is fantastic here. Finny, Latios, Scissor are all good defoggers. Talonflame's the amazing defogger with boots. Hitmontop can spin. So like, he has great removal. I'm not sure who said that in chat.
I guess maybe it's a little passive, but even so, like overall, like it's still a pretty solid team.
It's a little passive, but I mean, outside of like Blissey, everything on here can exert offensive pressure
very easily. Also can set up very easily because they have a natural.
Oh, this team has a ton of setup, which is really appreciated. Your opponent will not know which win con you are bringing that week, which is really nice.
Yep.
Well, yeah, assuming your ring set up to sweep, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, even if you're bringing like a Scarf Latios as your win con, it's really hard to distinguish what the win con is going to be going into the game from the opponent's perspective, which is something I really like.
All right, let's get to number 6. Number 6 is Frandy.
Frandy, let's see. I look at this as a crypt expensive. Frandy. So Frandy was universally, let's see. Yeah, they were generally in the right position. So like I put Frandy at 3rd. Snow put Frandy at 10th. And Endless put Frandy at 6th. So divisive, but generally upper half.
Yeah.
Wait, who put what? That's what top is for. Okay, what? Okay, I don't know what my chat talk about. I don't know what they're talking about, but okay. Well, I just talk about this. What about you, Snowman? I'll let you start it off. You haven't started off that many.
Let me get my notes for him. So, for all these teams, I said, in my opinion, this team is a little slow. Not the slowest for sure, but it could deal with a little bit more, faster mons. Like, I don't know exactly what the fastest mon here is. Noivern at 123 then, right? So that's pretty good, but then, like, the next one down is... Raikou at 110, right? Or no?
115.
115, okay. So, yeah, I guess, like, the team isn't the slowest in the world, but, like, I don't know. It's just what I wrote. It was, like, 3 a.m. in the morning.
It is on the slower. Yeah, it is on the slower.
It does have a lot of bulk. I will 100% give it that. I mean,
I love this team, but
I
just going to the negatives first.
I really like this team.
I guess I'll start off with this team. This team would have loved a cleric. Loved it so much. Mega Mawile and Swampert want that wish support, as does Coefficient Scrafty. They really want that wish support to stay healthy throughout the game. And also, no cleric, in terms of heal bar or therapy, hurts. Because then your Rillaboom or your Mawile gets burned, or your Volcarona gets paralyzed, and they're essentially dead. Having the option to remove status with Mons on your team is really big, especially when you're relying on physical attackers or sweepers that like to boost their speed and are easily paralyzed. So, but other than those, that's pretty much the only real flaw I have in this team is no cleric in this team would really want one. But I mean, offensive core synergizes super well, breaks natures, checks, tons of momentum to gain ball while to break Volcarona setup, lots of hazards, which is nice, counteracting the healing from terrain, and pretty good breaking power. Like, this team is very, very good. I just think it's missing a key role that missing a key role that would have helped it, but it's still really good.
I put it at third. I mean, pretty much what Endless said about positives is like accentuated in my opinion. I really, really like this team. Again with the last one, but I mean, like, Raikou and Necrozma have like so much set depth. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And Rillaboom too. Rillaboom is very versatile as well.
Rillaboom, Volcarona, and like just these mons. Like, this is the type of team where even though it has the bulk to afford making risky plays, but you get one turn wrong, like, it gets a sub up, like, you're losing, or you know what I mean? If it gets one predict right, you're losing. That's why I personally rank this a little higher than other people would, but either way, we all agree, good job.
Yep, very good job.
Now, I do agree with that point from Trap that this team, if given a free turn, can do a lot of work.
Yep.
Yeah. Alright, now on to another one that is kind of polarized.
Number 5, the only person who can beat Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet is Chungus.
Yeah.
So Trap put Chungus at 2, Snowman at 3, and I'm the outlier here. I put Chungus all the way down at 13. And
you go over the negatives first.
Honestly,
explain.
It's solid, but there's one gigantic flaw that I cannot get over. Garchomp is the only rocker. I'm sorry, but this might be the worst Garchomp, one of the worst Garchomp drafts I've seen. Because it just is forcing Chomp into running rocks every single week. I'm sorry. As a Chomp lover, it pains me to see this. Chomp is such a versatile mon. Like, I would honestly put it in 18 points. I consider it that good. Yeah, and it's just, here it's pigeonholed so hard. And the other problem is that Waylay and Chomp are the only real breakers. That's it. And so now your Chomp, Rotom Heat kind of. But now Chomp is forced into running rocks and running a breaking roll each week. It cannot do both. Which makes he's either going to lose on his physical breaker, he's going to lose on the chip damage over time. And yes, he has spikes from Frostless, but like, rocks are still pretty important to have.
Yeah.
So I just think Hex with is very nice. So yeah, that's kind of the big thing for me is I really think he did Chomp dirty here, and that's why I have him in my my lower tiers. However, he does support Waylay super well here. He has great options for breaking steals. His solid defensive core, spikes and T-Specs are both great. I just think he squandered his Garchomp pick, which is why I have it so low.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I really don't find the whole Rocks issue to be the worst in the world. But, I mean, like, there is that issue. I didn't see much wrong with this team. Like, type matchup-wise, it does pretty well. You obviously have some really good pivots, and I just, didn't find much wrong with this team. I thought it was pretty well above even the last pick.
One of the big cons I had with this team, even though I put it second, was when you have Corv X and having Garchomp, right? Like as your only ground or your only like electric, like real electric switching. I mean, Rotom Key is actually valid, so that's great. That's an extent. But you want to have like good defensive. Like if you're gonna go on like Corv X and go on that route, and like draft like a more balanced team. I mean, and Rotom Heat can do well in some matchups, but the thing is, like you just said it yourself, like you're pigeonholing Chomp in the Rocks role, and that's pretty big. How does Chomp go round 2? Because I let it be round 2. But anyway,
that's a fair point.
No, I actually did let it go round 2 because I got Gly scored. But
fair.
Into the positives, because I mean, frankly, you there's plenty of good rockers. I mean,
There's a lot of positives to this team. There's a lot of positives to this team.
This is an insane. Lily Chomp Corv is the best Fairy Dragon Steel Core like I've ever seen.
I don't know if I'd say Lele Chomp Corv is the best FDS, but it's solid.
I have seen drafted in in the season. Like, in this league specifically. Serp is a gigantic enabler. I mean, sure, screens are very easy to predict. You bring them every week, but having that tool, on top of the speed, but having that is very useful as an option. This team could go on this team has a lot of build depth, so it could go on a really fat like core Rotom Heat Pain Split X builds with Umbreon as wish support. It could go on a very offensive route with like Lele Lucha just like cleaning at the end and just going crazy. I love this team. It isn't perfect. Obviously no team is, but I love this team. Very solid. The Rock's weakness is a big one. I mean, speed, the bulk, like the breaking power, like it's all there. It's a very solid balance build, and I see Chung is doing very well with this if he plays this right.
Yep.
I 100% think he's gonna do well. I don't think he's gonna do poor with this team at all. Like even though I said my problems, I probably should have rated it higher. Probably. I think he's gonna make a solid run with this team no matter what.
Yeah. All right. So for fourth, we have
Rizzo.
Yeah, that's exactly how I was gonna try and pronounce it. Totally.
Don't give me a bit. Give me 10 seconds. I'm getting a phone call. But
that's fine.
That's fine. We can start with Endless.
Sure. Let me get the scores up for Rizzo. So we had Trap put him at 4th, Snowman put him at 5th. I had Rizzo down at 8th, but as I said earlier, my 6th through 12 is completely interchangeable.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone in there I thought had a good team. So really, I love this team. My only gripe is Cinderace feels undersupported. This team does not have good ways to break waters for it. And so that means Bulky Waters can just come in every time. Even though it can U-turn out, Bulky Waters with Helmet are going to be really annoying for Cinderace here. But other than that, this team is really fantastic. Also, I would prefer him to have a third rocker, but he has 2 good ones, so it's not a big deal. Other than that, it's really good. Tons of momentum and tons of great breakers to abuse it. Lots of priority, which makes up for some of the mailing speed. Sucker Urshifu, Sucker Cinderace, Sucker Nidoqueen, Accelerock, Lycan Dust, Aqua Jet Blastoise. He has lots of priority, which helps patch up some of the slight speed issues. And then, of course, except for Cinderace, his breakers break the counters for each other super well. So I think overall, it's a very, very strong team. Also, that top 6 plus Blastoise is really strong.
Yep. Trap in.
Yeah,
okay, there we go. Just in the nick time, honestly.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Rizzo's team, Trap?
Well, I put it at 4th. You pretty much said all the benefits. The cons, there we go. That's literally it. I'm being honest, the speed. And I know it's it sounds like I'm overemphasizing it too much, but when his defense isn't as strong and his breaking power and his offense is this good, right, and well supported, having an elite speed tier Mon is good. And I'm sorry, Ariados is good for T-Spikes and webs, but if you're bringing a Mon that just loses to Defog, which guess what, that's a very, very common move you're gonna see. It's gonna
it's 1 point. It's 1 point.
For
1 point, I think it's fine.
No, yeah, definitely. I can't criticize the pick more so of it's trying to fix something like a hole that shouldn't be there.
I mean, it's only fixing sticky webs because he has T-spikes from Nidoqueen already.
No, what I meant is the speed itself, like the elite speed.
Oh,
That's
that's
what I'm
fair.
getting at.
I mean, I would consider Cinderace at 119 decent, pretty good top speed.
Yeah.
For me personally, I would probably go for 120 and above, but I mean that's fine. Either way,
That's fair.
insanely good draft. A very good draft.
Very good draft.
Outside of that,
the top 4 or the top 5 are really good drafts, realistically.
I would agree with that.
All right, here we go. Number 3, our bronze medal, which is Infernape.
I could take some first because, and this already's been doing when I had to take the phone call. I put him at 6th, Snowman put him at 4th, and this put him at 4th as well. So unanimously high, not top tier but high. Well, for starters, he has a good rain build. Like just flat out, this is a very good rain build. Can't really go wrong if you do like with Zapdos Rain. He also has very good options when he's not using Rain, which is because Rain is, well, it's not like necessary for this team to succeed. But even if he brings Rain every week, he could still succeed. That's like the thing I like about it, because Rain is a tool, not a necessity. But even if he brings it, like if it was a necessity, he'd still do very solid. Now, Zapdos Mega Scissor, just Crocodile, very good. That's a very good core. Wigglytuff has actual value because like it's a good. I mean, Ghost immunity with Dragapult. I mean, it's just the Dragapult immunity. Even though I mean, it's not the 100% best deck. Very solid.
Very good.
Ghost immunity is always good. Very good. Overall, I mean, yeah, I really like this team. Pretty solid. I didn't draft it as higher as the other ones because I just think the other ones are a little better. But solid team all around.
Yeah,
very good team.
My only nick on this team is Rain loves spikes. Rain loves spikes, and it really would have appreciated getting that. I think that would be nice. Jamie's good point. It doesn't have that much natural speed. Yeah. That's true. That's a fair point.
That's another reason I put it a little lower.
I think it's really Rain is Trap said, Rain's a nice component, but it's appreciated team can function without it. And having all the momentum on your non-Rain mons is really nice to get your sweepers in. That's really appreciated.
Dropping Surfetch for a really fast mon could be appreciated as well.
I would agree with that. And then Salazzle was, in my opinion, one of the better fires for Rain teams because it has a great secondary stab. It can also do a good job even in the rain with its toxic sets. So I think that was your grasses. Yeah, I think Salazzle was a very nice pickup here. So, and that's a lot of Rain teams just forgo fires altogether, even though I think that's fine. Fires in necessary type. If you want to get one, Salazzle fits super well.
Yep. Outside Rain, this can get overwhelmed very fast. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, especially because he has Politoed over Pelipper, that makes the HO matchup a bit harder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, let's get to our number 2 pick. Yeah. Second place, taking silver. A huge discrepancy again is Love.
Yeah.
So Trap has him at 1, Snowman has him at 2, and I have him down at 11 because I really it's a Love team, and like I know he'll do well with it because it's Love, and he always does well with this pretty much this exact build. Like he's going to excel with this build, but I still don't like it that much. There's not that many flaws, but I don't know. It's hard for me to explain why I dislike this team. I think partially the fact that it's actually wait. Now I'm looking. The reason I dislike this team is not very good at all. So never mind. You guys go ahead. I probably should put this a lot higher.
Don't worry. I felt that way with Franzi and Burning on the show by Burning. So, what I liked about this team, very, very low skill cap for it to be very well played. That's not just like, I'm not talking about like his skill level, because obviously he knows how to play this type of build with Torn. But even with some other person, like it's a very easy team to use. The bulk, good breaking power, good speed all throughout, good removal. I mean, maybe not the best removal, but pretty good removal. I mean, I don't personally like Florges all that much, but it actually fits very well in this team. Maybe his dark could be a little better, but I mean, Keldeo punishes that a little bit. His shadow ball switching also is a little suspect, but I mean,
that's fair.
even
Yeah,
so,
a bull in Persian
yeah.
is not a great switching.
Yeah, that's the thing. The thing is, like, this beats most what's it called, ghosts anyway, outside of like maybe Dragapult. Dragapult has its own set of issues versus this team.
Yeah. I mean, it's a Dragapult. Every team has a bad Dragapult matchup unless you have like Mandibus Clef.
For sure. This team, the reason why I rated the first is just because I just had to look at it. I mainly look at it as the low ceiling thing. It was just like it's just so easy to use and do well with. Like anyone could do playoffs with, make playoffs with this team.
And also, considering it's love, and he seems to not put much effort in Mons nowadays, this is a good team for him because this is the perfect team for him to it's just a lot of it's just clicking buttons, click U-turn, click knockoff, click hazards, momentum into Gengar, or Big T. Like, this is a very simple, I definitely should have put this like 6th or something at least. It probably should be at the top of that block for me, but I do think it's a very solid team.
For sure. Yeah, that's all I did to say about it. I mean, I said the negatives, which
very
there
little.
are negatives, but yeah.
Oh, good trap.
Onto the gold champ. I didn't rank myself, by the way.
Yeah, he didn't rank himself. So
yeah, on to number 1. Trap did not rank himself.
Trap did not rank himself. He got first place.
Snowman put Trap first. I put Trap second. So both the two of us who are not Trap agree that this team is fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
And I guess I'll start off on it. So there's not that many flaws in this team. There's some minor nitpicks I had, but I still have a team. So I'll start with the first thing. The defense on here is kind of passive. I'll be honest here. The defense on here. The defense on here is kind of passive. Like Gliscor, Suicune, DOD, Wiki, Vespiquen, Mawile, like those are just even Skuntank to an extent is relatively passive.
I'm not going to talk about how to remedy that because I don't want to give away strategies.
And
Charizard
is going to be doing a lot of your heavy lifting breaking wise.
And Raichu. Rising Bolt.
Raichu too, but Raichu is an Amon that can come to every matchup.
No, not everyone.
The other thing that is a tiny nitpick, but I feel like Breloom Coco is not a great pairing because Breloom loves its spores and Coco's terrain blocks that. But overall, there's a lot to love about this team. Coco, Raichu, Charizard is an insane offensive core. Breloom fits well offensively. I just don't like its inability to run Spore on this team.
Yep.
Lots of removal for Charizard, tons of running on Charizard. This team is basically a Zard team, I'll be honest here. And Zard is going to be what carries you if you can make it work. But I think you can make it work. It's very tough. Your defensive core is insane. If anyone can break this defensive core, I will be shocked.
Also, and the nice thing, bro, you think, and
the nice thing is you have a lot of taunt and a lot of phasing on this team, which helps with the passivity.
Also, my speed makes me like very difficult to be picked apart by like slow taunt, which is something I focused on.
Yeah. So even though I do think a lot of your mons are passive, you have good options to get around that, and I think that's what really propels this team to the number 1 spot. Well, I have number 2, but to the really top of the top is its ability to make up for its own flaws, seeing its own flaws, and just remedying them within itself. Yep. Everything just works well here.
All right.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess Shinrai's right. Freeze Dry to just go hard. You kind of just hard boost the Kyurem, but like outside of that, you're fine.
All right.
I have plenty of Kyurem effects, so I'm
Specs Kyurem kind of eats you alive, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's the end of Division.
That is the end of Drain Punch.
Yeah, end of Drain Punch.